Hi, I'm Tiffany with the Danleys.
And I'm Shawn, and today we're gonna go over some of our frequently asked questions from our over 500 subscribers. So thank you so much for watching the channel. We're just gonna hit on some of the things that we get asked over and over, and hopefully it helps you in your decision-making process on if the Prescott area is a place that you'd like to live. So stick around.
So keep in mind on these frequently asked questions, this is going to cover Prescott Quad Cities as a whole. So it's going to include Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, Paulden, and Dewey Humboldt in addition to Prescott. So Shawn, what do you have for us today?
We get asked often about if there are 55 and over communities in the Prescott area.
Very common question.
Very common question. We get it a bunch. Short answer is not really. Demographic wise, the city of Prescott, the median age is 59 in Prescott. It's 37 in Prescott Valley, so substantially younger in Prescott Valley. But many of the developers, as they were planning a lot of the communities, given the age demographic of the Prescott area in general, a lot of the developers didn't really see the need to do a 55 plus community. So given the people that live in that area, they just didn't find the need to do it. So you'll notice some differences, when we tour communities in the Prescott area with, some clients that are potentially looking to relocate here. It's often asked, they want to be in an area, they want to have adult pools as opposed to,
all ages,
and, toddlers screaming and throwing water at you and everything else. But the reality is, many of the communities in the Prescott area, by design, have accommodated that older demographic. So we really don't have that many.
There are a couple, but they're mainly manufactured home communities. Mm-hmm. And there's one down in Dewey that's a manufactured home community that's 55 plus. There's a couple here and there. There's the Victorian, which is in Prescott Valley, but it's a small community and doesn't have those large master plan amenities. So that's something to keep in mind. If you do want to be in master plan and you want to be in all ages, then this is definitely a great place to look.
Yeah.
And I feel
like if you're looking for like a Sun City, where you see Anthem, Sun City, a lot of the Del Webb communities, Trilogy, that sort of thing. If you're coming from,
have it.
Las Vegas or
Phoenix.
The Phoenix area, Southern California, we don't really have that. But don't be alarmed that you're going to be surrounded by play sets and trampolines, and
it's a nice blend of every age range.
It is a good blend, and like I said, the demographic's a little younger in the Prescott Valley area, maybe even in Chino Valley as well, than in Prescott. But you're not going to see many 55 plus.
If you do enjoy toddlers splashing water, we will gladly accommodate that here at our house.
For sure. Yes.
Another common question is if we have a lot of gated communities. Again, I feel like a lot of the developers didn't find a need in that for our master plan communities. There are a few exceptions. Stone Ridge, which is in Prescott Valley, which is a golf community, also a master plan. They have one small section that's gated in there. Prescott Lakes has a small community within the master plan that is gated, along with Hacienda and Talking Rock, and a couple other here and there, but it's not really prevalent. It hasn't really been something that's been needed. I know that's a real big thing in Southern California. I know Vegas has a lot of them as well, but we don't really see them here. We don't have a high crime rate, so it's not something that has been really needed or desired in our area. The exclusivity, there are a couple neighborhoods that have that exclusivity feel, like the Talking Rock, again, which is a golf community on the outskirts of Prescott, and then Hacienda as well.
Definitely. This is one that we get all the time. What's the water situation?
Do we have it?
Do we have water? Are we running out of water? It's kind of a misnomer. Granted, let me preface this with we do live in the desert, so certainly you have to be water conscious.
Yep.
We're in the high desert, we're over a mile high elevation, but you will see water shortages in the news in reference to Arizona.
Certain parts of Arizona.
Certain parts, to northern Arizona on the Utah border, up around Lake Powell, Page. Certainly that area is one that's been in the news, where they're starting to regulate water usage and things. The Mogollon Rim area of Pine and Strawberry.
Pine Top area.
Pine Top. That area has an old antiquated water system from the 1960s, and it needs to be greatly updated and upgraded. And they're losing millions of gallons of water a day, and so they're not releasing new building permits to build homes in that particular area.
Of their 27 wells that they draw down on for the public water system, I think they're running at half capacity right now. The other thing is it's a big rock over there, so they're not able to drill new wells. As for our location here, it is an old mining area, so if you are moving into the area and you're going onto a private well, you're going to want to have a water quality test done or sampling done. It's like $400 or $500 for peace of mind, just to make sure that there aren't any contaminants in the water, because like I said, there's old mining area in here in the area, and there could be contaminants potentially. So you want to do that. Few places here and there may have it. You could do water treatment to take care of that. That being said, we're going to link down below for a recent video for the Town of Prescott Valley's Water Management Resource Manager about the availability of water in our area. And in the video, it does mention that we are nearing net zero. So what we're drawing down from the water supply for our area is almost a net zero. What we're putting in versus what we're taking out is almost a wash. I know a lot of people will drive through our area and see all the new construction and think, there's no water, they're building too many houses. But a lot of those houses were master planned in the 90s. So the water allotment for those homes that are coming out of the ground now was done 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind too.
There's a lot of misnomer and a lot of bad information about water in the Quad Cities area. Don't get me wrong, there have been some recent water quality issues, especially with some of the towns. But we're not water experts by any means. But
no, so do your research on that separately if it's a big deal for you.
But we're not drawing down or dependent upon the Colorado River, for instance. Much of our water comes from the aquifers deep down in the ground below us, and they're replenished by snow runoff that we get in the high country up in the Flagstaff area north of us. And we've got a pretty good aquifer. Another not very well known fact is that Prescott Valley in particular used to be a farming area back in the 60s.
Yep.
So this whole area was rich in agriculture back then. And if you know anything about water, you know that agricultural water, farmland, uses a substantially higher
85% more
of water
than residential.
So development, like it or hate it, it's happening. And we're not trying to say that there's tons of water to double or triple the size of the population here, but do your homework and look into it, because when you really dive into it, it's not dire as you may think.
The caveat to that is there are certain areas in our community, there's some areas in Chino, there's some areas in Dewey Humboldt in the Blue Hills area, that water coming out of the ground, and these are in private well situations, is going to be low production just because it's so far down to get to the aquifer for those to draw down. And so you're going to see houses that maybe have half to 1 gallon per minute for their well productions, and that may require you to haul water. There are hauled water filling stations throughout the valley here, and so you can do that. That's an option as well. But again, if you're considering something that's on a well, you'll get a well log to make sure what the production is, and you'll know what the availability is. So,
what should we talk about next?
We can talk about schools. That's one. Some people are asking us about schools. Are there any private schools? What are the public schools like? We have one school-age child who's is attending school right now. She's in a charter school. We have Liberty Traditional School, which is in Prescott Valley. It's part of the public school system, but it's more of a traditional school, so uniforms. If you're more interested in the private school route, there are several private schools in the area, anywhere from Christian schools to non-denominational to non-Christian schools. We have Montessori. There's Franklin Phonetic School.
Yeah.
There's Basis, which is a big one here. There are homeschool co-ops, so if that's your speed, that's an opportunity here as well. And as far as the performance, we have some schools that rank 10 out of 10 on greatschools.net. Again, if that's a big deal for you, make sure you do your research. But there are some great opportunities and possibilities for schools here. And one last thing I should mention on that, we are a open enrollment area, so you can live in Prescott Valley and you could send your child to Abaya Judd, which is over in Prescott, which is a high performing school. So if that's something, you can have that information and keep that in mind too.
Yep, definitely. If you're looking at land and you want to think about building a home at some point, but you want to take advantage of the market right now where you've got, land costs are, I wouldn't say they're inexpensive, but they're
more affordable.
Yavapai County, which is the county that contains the areas that we're talking about, the Quad Cities area, doesn't allow you to park an RV on your land until you obtain a building permit. And then I believe there's a limited time.
12 months.
Yeah, 12 months, give or take.
They may have adjusted that to 15 months, but I know a lot of people, that's kind of the thing right now. Sell high, let's buy some land, we'll wait it out for a few years and live in our camper. That was put into effect quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
Not sure if that will ever be undone, but that is something you cannot buy land just to live in your camper with in Yavapai County, unfortunately.
Yeah, so that's kind of a bum deal for a lot of people that want to get your expenses low and plan your build and
maybe save money and pay cash to build. The other thing too is the rental market. So maybe you want to buy land and you think you're going to rent. Our rental market is insane. The prices have definitely ratcheted up. Your typical 1-bed, 1-bath, you're going to be all of $1,200. We have some 55 plus communities that are just coming out of the ground, and they have 2-bedroom, 2 baths that are 1,200 square feet for $2,700 a month.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So keep that in mind too. Even with the interest rate starting to ratchet up, it's still a little bit cheaper to own than it is to rent. One other thing we should probably talk about is solar on houses. We're in the desert, we get a lot of sun. Solar's kind of the new hip, hot, sexy thing that everybody's talking about. You go into Costco here and the guys at the local solar company will try to sell you on it. It's a pain in the butt if you're going to sell. It's nice to have because you can offset your power bills. Don't get me wrong, if you have the right sized system. However, read the contract if you're going to do a lease. It's so prevalent here in our area that there's actually a form in our real estate contracts that addresses it. And a lot of them are 30-year leases, 25-year leases. They're graduated. They start out low at like $85 a month, but they go up to like $200 a month.
Yeah.
And then you still don't own the system. And then as a buyer, somebody that you're buying from has put it on, and now you have 25 years left of a lease you're going to be paying for. Yeah, you're not going to have a power bill, but you might have a $200 lease payment. So make sure you do your homework on that.
Yeah.
Different situation if it's an owned system, there's no payment. But a lot of people right now are doing those leased systems, and those, in our opinion, are not beneficial.
And our energy costs, I wouldn't say they're super inexpensive, but they're not super expensive either. So,
yeah, they're kind of middle of the road.
Yeah, if you've got a relatively energy efficient home, family of 4 is going to spend $150 a month for power. But
we have friends that are in like Las Vegas, And they're paying for, my parents used to pay $400, $500 a month in the summer in Las Vegas for 2 people in a not very, 2,500 square foot house. So it wasn't an absorbent house or anything. So
yeah, so the climate,
relatively inexpensive.
Climate does come into play with regards to energy costs here. So do your homework on that. But solar, I don't know. Not a huge fan. I don't think it's worth it.
It's great if you're buying a house that somebody has already paid for the solar and it's paid in full and there's no lease payments. But if there's a lease payment, do your research. In fact, we had a client that looked at a house and it was a 65-page contract for the lease, and they ended up not buying the house because it was just too much.
Yep.
Another thing, and probably the final topic we'll touch on today, is homeowners associations. We get people all the time, I want to be in a newer home and I don't want to be in a homeowners association. Is that a possibility? Yes, it's a possibility. However, we are a very heavy homeowners association state. That's statewide. No matter if you're going to Flagstaff or you're going to Tucson or Phoenix, anywhere in the middle, we have a lot of homeowners associations. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the guy on the golf cart with the clipboard writing your name down because you left your trash can out for 20 minutes past when it should have been in. We have some that are just for street and road maintenance and some that are for water, shared wells, etc. But we do have that, so keep that in mind. Some people want that because you have the amenities like tennis and pickleball and swimming pools and gyms and everything. So that's a possibility. But there are also neighborhoods that are not in a homeowners association where you may have a great house next to a house that's older, that's great, next to a house that needs to be updated, next to a house that's a collector of everything and anything. So we have that too. It's just kind of what fits your lifestyle and your needs. There's definitely possibilities out there. You got anything else?
Did have 97TJ made comments about the allergens in the area. Yeah, we do have gnarly allergies here.
I think it depends on the person too. So if you have allergies to ragweed, that's a big one.
Cottonwood
is a big one.
If you're in the downtown Prescott area, cottonwood trees are real prevalent. Not as much in the Prescott Valley area or Chino Valley because we just don't have as many trees out this way, but
and then junipers. So certain times of the year, the junipers, you can just walk past and you see the green puff of pollen come off the trees. I'm personally not affected by it, whereas we've lived in other climates that I've had major issues with allergies, like the Northwest. Shawn's been okay, but like our kiddos sometimes will have issues with the ragweed. So it all depends on what your triggers are for allergens.
All right, well, that's just a snapshot of our frequently asked questions. So thanks for sticking around. If you've got anything that you would like us to cover in an upcoming video, feel free to drop us a comment below. Reach out to us. Our number is on our page, 928-800-4707.
We're always happy to chat via text or phone call, whatever works.
All right, catch you guys on the next video. See ya.
Bye.